Hi guys, happy Sunday. Oh, we have a special guest, and I didn't tell her to turn her volume off, so that was my fault. Hi guys, happy Sunday. we have a special guest. I'm gonna wait. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the back, let me go this way. In the background, wave, hello. My sister is here to help me with my class. And so if you have a question, because I wasn't sure how many people we were going to have and like trying to like make the things and keep up in the chat. So if you have a question, just title it like question at the front, and then Michelle will catch it and let me know it. Jeanette's so it's so funny that you say that. When I was doing my hair, like I curled it or whatever, and then this part was so flat, and then I had to put like some dry shampoo in there to make it not be so flat to my head. Anyway, so we're here for our free Christmas tag class. Super exciting. These I have pulled out some products that we're going to be using in today's, but honestly, like we're just here to craft and chat and have fun. Use what you have. And I'm going to take me off of the screen so that we can look at we're going to take a quick look at what we're going to be making, and then we'll go through the products so that you can kind of pull out your things. There is, of course, a supply list in the description below. If you're, well, I know you're watching on YouTube. It's the only place we're streaming it. So there's a description below. If you're watching it after the fact, like those things will be there. And Honeybee very kindly put together like a whole page on their website. So you can, that link is at the top. That would just take you to everything, the whole collection there, if you wanted to look and see. Okay, so taking me off, and we're just going to look at the stuff here. Okay, so these are the tags that we're going to be making. And so these are like movable little accent tags. Naomi, did Cleveland get snow? Okay, wait, I just told you I was going to take me off, and now I'm going to put me back on. Here I am again. All right, this is for Naomi and everybody who doesn't live in the northern part of the world. You can't even see it. It won't even focus on it. It is snowing so much right now. You literally cannot even tell. My window is just a whiteout. So yes, we got several inches last night. It is still currently snowing. My sister is worried that she's going to have to stay here with me forever. Okay. So these are the mixed media Tim Holtz distress tags. The reason that I chose these is not necessarily because of the technique so much. It is more because of the size. Like it will allow us to fit more things on there. So just whatever you have, use just a larger size tag. Or if you don't have that, then just cut a piece of cardstock and trim it and use a hole punch. It'll be fine. And then these come from, there's two different dies here. This is the Terrific Tags and the Tag Builder. I used both of them for my little accent tags here. And then here is the little bear. I come bearing gifts. I thought that was absolutely adorable. And so we're going to do this little cute little Christmas bear, and then the little artsy angel. We're going to color her up as well and learn some techniques. So we're going to start with the base tags, doing the techniques for that. And so I showed you the two tags that we're going to be doing in addition to that. I also used the Silent Night background. Any kind of texty background will get you the same kind of look. This one is an oldie but a goodie. I love this one. This is the Holly Jolly background. It came out a few years ago. I just love the fonts in it. I think it's so great for the holidays. So we're going to be using this as well. Here is what is this one called? Bear Hugs. It's just a cutesy little bear, and it's coordinating die. The angel, I actually used this one to create an ornament year before last, like a clear ornament. So we are going to use her as well. And then good old Saint Nick, he is probably one of my favorite stamps that the Honeybee has ever released because he is so fantastic. He just makes such a good card, like this vintage Santa. I also am going to use the Let It Snow. I pulled out the dies because I keep them together, like when I'm organizing them, but I'm actually only going to use the stamps today. And then this is the Tag Your It, and it's got some like little decor things, other little things that we're gonna, we can stick on the tags. You probably saw me use this in the live Wednesday. I couldn't think of what day it was. On the live on Wednesday, we made this little tag here. See, and we used a little ho ho ho. This is the coat. I also have I did another one for the video. So I'm excited. Maybe I'll give you a little sneak peek of that one too. It's so cute. I was thrilled with the way it came out. Okay, so that is all of the things that we are going to be using. I'm going to pull out the things for my background because that is, like I said, what I'm going to start with. Come with me. So I need this, I need that, I need this. Okay. My sister and I were joking. I want that one so bad. Brandon, what are we talking about? What do you want? My sister and I were joking because it gets so warm in here with the door closed. I was like, we should already have turned on the fan. And she was like, no, you don't have to. I'll just put my hair up. And I can tell you that right now I'm already starting to sweat. So I'm sure that she is also. I am positive of it. Okay. So we're going to grab out all three of our tags. And I'm going to use a stamp positioner for this. This one, because the Silent Night background is a cling stamp, I don't need the foam. I'm going to actually take the foam out. And then this one, I'm going to put my magnet up here because I took the stamp just to about up here. Okay. Oh, the Santa. Yeah, the Santa is good. I could see why you would want that one. All right. So we're going to do our Silent Night. The reason that we are doing our stamping first is because doing an emboss resist is substantially easier than trying to do the heat embossing afterward, because I'm using distress inks, and distress inks are made to stay wet longer so that you can emboss with them. So we don't want all that jazz. Okay. So I'm going to pick this up. I am going to treat this with my anti-static tool because I want it to be distressed, but I want to control the distress. I'm trying to get the lid back on. There we go. Okay. So I am going to preheat my heat gun. I'm going to turn it on so that it is heating up, so that way I have minimal warping on my tag. Oh, tomorrow. Well, it's your first time. Welcome. So I'm going to use the Creative, the Be Creative Brilliant White Pigment ink, and I'm going to ink up the whole thing. And then, in order to, because remember, I want it to be distressed, but I want to kind of control the distressing. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take a damp rag, and I'm just going to kind of like blot different areas. And then I'm going to stamp that down. And then I would normally, like if I wanted a perfect, impression, I would stamp it a second time, but I want it to be distressed. So I'm not going to bother stamping it a second time. I am going to use a white detail embossing powder because even though I want it to be distressed, I still want the parts that are legible to be legible. So dump that back in there. And then I'm going to heat this until it melts and is smooth. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to give this a second to like cool off. And then that way I can get up here without burning my little fingers off. Okay. So now, if you look on here, like see how we have some random kind of embossing powder kind of sprinkled, adding to that look. Again, we can do that, but we want to control that. This is also like, if you're a person who's like, Kelly, I don't want to control it. I don't care. My embossing is a struggle for me and it never comes out the way that I want it to. This is the technique for you. Just embrace it. So you can kind of like dip this in like this, you know, just to add some like kind of extras, or you can get like a dauber, or you can not do any of that. And you can like sprinkle a little bit on top and then just kind of leave it there so that it's just kind of spread out. I am going to get the other areas that I added it to though, so we can get all the things at one time. So I don't know if you can see. Let me zoom in. It's hard to see, I think, before. But see how this almost has like the perfect impression of the like the little dauber? I don't want that. I don't want it to be perfect. So I'm just going to take a dry paintbrush and just kind of break up that line. And then, like I said, if you want, you know, just some random extras on there, in order to keep them from blowing off when we turn on our heat gun, if it has nothing to stick to, then we want, I'm just going to scoot this over here. Then we want to heat it from below. And then once it starts to melt, I gotta switch it around. I'm starting to burn my finger. And once it starts to melt, then you can bring it to the front. But if you have a pigment ink or a Versamark or something like that, that does make it easier to control it. Okay. So then we have kind of like this added detail here that's just going to add to the overall look of our tag. Okay, so that's that one. Now, this right here is a Christmas miracle because I almost never clean my stamp. I almost never clean my stamps as I go. So, all right. So then this one, come on. So are you guys all done with your Christmas shopping? I'm still very much in the throes of my Christmas shopping. Why can I not get this up? There we go. Where did I put the phone piece? I took it off. I set it down. Where did I set it? Nobody knows. Mystery. Where did I set it? I took it off. I honestly have no idea where I put this thing. Well, that ain't it. This is a problem. Did I put it underneath here? Yes, I did. Okay. Disaster averted. Okay. So now on the next one, we're going to do that Santa background. You finished yours yesterday. I'm still wrapping and packing up. I love it, but dread going to the post office. Oh, yeah, I don't. I have a wonderful sister who goes to the post office for me. She's pretty fantastic. I like her a lot. Okay. So this one, here's the little trick with this one. Okay. When you have a larger stamp set like this, and you peel it off and pick it up with your door, sometimes you can get air bubbles, and then that air bubble will keep it from stamping nicely. So I don't do that. I leave it on its acetate. So here is the stamp. Here is the printed acetate. I do have a lovely sister, I know. And then, so for this one, I positioned it because I wanted that Santa Claus at the top, since I'm using the Saint Nick stamp. I thought that would be fun. So I'm going to position this so it is right here. And then, you guys have probably seen me do this in my videos. I'm going to use a adhesive, just a roll-on adhesive, to go right over top of this. And then I'm going to use that adhesive to pick up the stamp still on the acetate. And then that way, it's stuck to my tag. I will need to, I just need to double check that it's still, yep, we're good. Okay. So then that way it sticks to the door by the little acetate, and I don't have to worry about any air bubbles. And I also don't have to worry about like peeling it off and trying to get it back on. In order to remove the, hold on, there's a dog here. Gets everywhere. In order to remove that adhesive, if it's permanent, I just use Gooby Gone. If it's the repositionable, you can just like rub it until it falls off. Okay, we're back to the pigment ink and our anti-static tool. And then really for this one, I just kind of need to ink up this kind of right-hand side of the stamp, because that's really all that we're going to see on the tag. And then again, we're going to kind of blot so that it looks a bit more distressed. And then stamp it down. My sister lives so far away. Well, Denise, my sister lived in Tennessee for what, like 25 years? So she was very far away for a long time, but then eventually she moved back home.
I got my senses back.
Yeah, I came to my senses and returned home. Okay. So this one, again, we can kind of go in with that ink, kind of maybe rub it on the edges. You know, you have a lot of different options for the distressing part of it because we're not being super particular. Okay. I just did a little extra, not a ton, because we do have, you know, the images and stuff we're going to put on there. So, and once again, I don't want this to be this one down here doesn't really matter so much because Santa pretty much covers up all of that. Good old Saint Nick. I am going to add some, I think, up here to like one of these little corners, and then I'll just scoop it. There we go. Okay. My sister lived in Germany for over 20 years when she was still active duty military. Oh yeah, that is a rough go. I mean, mine was only in Tennessee and I didn't get to see her nearly as often as I would like. Okay. So I don't know if you can see it on this one. There is a little bit, like I kind of rubbed it along the side. That's a fun way to add some embossing. I especially like to do it with like some metallics. Okay. Switch. And this is one of those ones that like, it never comes out the same way twice. It never comes out the same way twice. Okay, now the last one is a background, but it's not a background stamp. We are going to create our own background with multiple stamps. So if you're like, hey, I really like this, but I don't have a cling background, I don't have a photopolymer background, all I've got is just regular old single images, that's okay, because you can make a cool background with that too. Okay. And then I'll have to go back and clean this later. For this one, because when you look at our little bear here, like he's kind of like looking up, I concentrated the larger snowflakes up at the top. So they were like further away from him or her. Him or her. This one's a little too big, but I think I did the other ones. I'm going to move this little magnet down here. All right. I think sometimes stamp sets like this get a little bit overlooked because, you know, they're not like coloring images or, you know, ones that we would maybe necessarily gravitate toward for being the coolest thing. But this is probably one of my most used stamp sets over the holiday season because you can do so much with it. So many different techniques and stuff. Okay. And then this one down here. Okay. So they kind of get smaller as they get closer to the bear. So it makes a little bit more sense. I'm not saying you have to do it to make sense. You could just stamp your snowflakes as long as you're happy with that. That's all that matters. Okay. And again, back to our white. Okay. Do you guys typically make smaller tags or larger tags? Like I mean, Tim and I have very different styles, but I have watched him for a long time and he's doing all the things on tags. Okay. And then this time around, I'm going to do a little blotting. Okay. Pop those off. And then again, just add our little distressing. Maybe I'll add some more down here just to kind of fill in. There we go. Gotta get my lid back on. Okay. Wanting to make tags, but never gotten around to it. So here's the irony of me teaching a tag class. I don't ever use them. Like we are basically sitting here making these fun Christmas tags. You can all thank Denise. That's the hockey spaz. If you don't know, you can all thank her because she asked for it. And here we are all hanging out on a Sunday, which honestly is, I mean, it's a pretty fun way to spend the day. Okay. Oh, I need this back. So I can kind of break that up a little. Same thing with up here. There we go. I prefer larger tags. I give them as a card. Oh, that's cute. My tag sizes are all over the place, sized for the image instead of a specific tag size. That makes sense. I see your laughy faces, Denise. You know you're the reason we're all sitting here. You can use tags to decorate a card front. That is true. And historically in the past, that is how I use tags, is just to put them on a card. I do like these snowflakes. They're very pretty. All right. So now we have those done. All the techniques for these tags can be used on a card, so it's a win-win. That is absolutely true. I'm making tags today for our wine exchange party. Oh, that's fun. All right, I need a sip. All right, so now that we have the heat embossing out of the way, now we're going to move on to the next phase. Oh, my little coat tag's falling all over the place. Okay. So I ink these all up the same way just for the sake of time. But I do think that you could do different colors for these and like completely change the look so they're not so necessarily like distressed. But since we're trying to fit 3 tags into one class. Hold on, I'm trying to rock in here, but I'm stuck in a hole. All right. Never say never. It's been stamping. I've been stamping for 20 years and made tags last year for the first time. Sherry, that is true. You should never say never. All right, so I am going to be using the brush corduroy, ground espresso, a big background brush from Honeybee. They have like the smaller sizes, but because we're covering a lot of surface area, I am using the big one. And I kind of didn't want them all to be the same. So I am going to go in with the brush corduroy kind of all over just to help that embossing kind of pop. I know it's not popping right now, but hang tight. It will be popping. So honestly, I'm surprised that there are more people still shopping and stuff. It's only the 14th. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm the last minuter. Are you done with your shopping? You can't be done with your shopping. Okay. Maybe it's just our family then. Ink or oxide, or it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Whichever one you like better. I like the distressed ink better because I think you can get darker. It doesn't dry back chalky. So I do prefer the distressed ink, but both of them will work for these techniques. I love fossilized amber, might use that instead. And I really want to get some big brushes. Denise, I'm so glad that you said that, because as an added benefit of coming in and hanging out with me today and taking our free class, I am going to give you the scoop that if you want to get all of your things in the cart, all your wish list things in the cart and ready, there's going to be a sale. There's going to be a sale on the Honeybee channel, and where we're going to give you the heads up on the last day of the year, on the 31st. There shall be a sale that is 30% off site-wide, and it is one of our biggest sales. So if you are like, hey, I know that I have all of these things that I really wanted, like brushes, that is the time. Hang on to it, and you can get your things for 30% off. I will also be shopping. Don't tell my husband. It's safe because football's on, so I know he's not watching right now. Okay, so now we kind of got them all covered up. And now, Laura, I love sales. It's same. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the ground espresso. I'm not going to put them all in the same place because I don't want them to look exactly the same. But I do want to add some interest to it. So for like this one, I know my little angel is going to go over on this side. So I'm going to add some darkness there, but then I want my highlight, my lighter portion, to kind of lead you to my angel. You know what I'm saying? And you can use, like we talked about, you can use different colors, like this one with the snowflakes and the bear, like the bear looking up at the snowflakes, like that would be great in blue. Everything looks great in blue. You tell me one thing that doesn't look great in blue. You can't. It's impossible. Blue is the best. So then this one here, Santa's down here in this corner. So we're going to flippity flop so that our diagonal is going the other way. Still tempted to get the fuse, but how often will I use it? Is the fuse for foiling? Is that what it is? Or is that a die cutting machine? That's Gina's, right? It's gotta be for foiling. Maybe I don't pay good enough attention. I don't know. Yes, the fuse is for foiling. Okay, so that's why I haven't looked at it, because I have my What is it called now? It's not for hot foil, right? Okay, so now my bear is going to be down here at the center. So I'm going to add some shading kind of around the edges. Like that. But then I'm going to add some kind of more along the bottom. So there's a lighter part where my little bear's head is. Okay. And then I do like to go back in, but you can emboss and then foil. Oh, a glimmer. That's, yeah, that I do. I have a glimmer machine. That makes sense. Thanks, guys. So I am going to go back in with the brush corduroy and just kind of go back over those areas to make sure we have a good blend. I'm not going to go all over everything because I'm not trying to make it perfectly smooth. This is not about perfectionism. This is giving it like that old kind of well-worn, loved vintage look. Okay. All right. So now I'm not going to clean this up. All right. You would like it better than the glimmer machine. Lori, I would? Are you sure? Because I feel like I invested in that thing and it does not get the use that I thought that it would. Okay. Glimmer is for hot foil. Mink is for regular foils. That I think I knew. What is the fuse? Is the fuse hot foil or regular foil? I don't think Gina does hot foil. Does she? Okay. So now I'm going to... Can you tell that I used this the last time? I'm just going to wipe it out because I didn't wash it. All right. So because Distress ink works so well with water, we're going to do first things first. Oh, let me grab my paper towel. It's on the other side of my desk. I love my glimmer. It's probably the single thing that addicted me to card making. Brandon, then is it just me or do you not use your, I don't feel like I see your cards with the glimmers. Your cards are beautiful. I love them, but I don't think I feel like I see them a lot with the foils. I put it over there. I used it to clean off my stuff. I probably set it over here where it does. Yep, I did. Okay. So I'm going to lay these out. We're getting rid of this. I'm going to lay this out here. And this is just clean water. And I'm just going to splatter it on. It makes a bigger impact on the darker areas because there's more contrast. So you can leave them like this and they will, let me zoom us in. So see this here, how it's like bleaching out, but then it's like gathering the ink down at the edges. So you can leave them like this and let them dry, or you can go in and blot up the ink with a paper towel and then it like bleaches it out. I am doing the bleaching out. That is what I am trying to accomplish. Okay, let me back up again. I don't want to get too far out. Oh my gosh, this is excruciating. There we go. Okay. Honeybee doesn't have a ton of foiling plates. You'd have to look back. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, so now we have those added in there. Now, I'm not going to, this ink back here, I don't want to waste it. So rather than having to like smush the ink to get some of that brown to flick onto my tags, I'm just going to use what's here. And then I'm going to do some dark brown splatters. We're going to do both. And again, this, if you're using an oxide, this will dry back lighter. Well, they're all going to dry back lighter, but an oxide will really dry back quite a bit. Okay. It looks more gold than corduroy. So that's kind of part of the technique, is when you do it at that diagonal, it makes it look like there's a shine in the middle where there isn't. So that's a kind of a fun way to draw the eye to your focal point. Okay. So then now I am going to wipe this up. I have a Valentine's sentiment background I did with honeybee foil sentiments and the lovely layer rose last Valentine's Day. I'll have to go, Brandon, I'm going to have to go back and scroll back. All right. So now I am going to, before I do the next part of the background, I want to help these to stand out. So I'm just going to spray some water onto a paper towel. You'd want it to be damp, not soaking, because we're going to go in and we're just going to go real lightly right over the top to get that white to come through and clean that off. Again, this, I don't love this down here, but I'm not stressing about it because that Santa's going to cover up the majority of it. Okay. So now we've got that going on, which I do like. I like where we're going. And, oh, I'm so glad that you're loving them. And then for the next part, I am going to do, there's a couple of different options that you can use. You can use an acrylic spray. You can use a white acrylic paint. You can use a gouache. That's pearly. So you have a couple of different options here. I thought I had one more. Maybe it's this one, the spray stain. I would not have to have perfect imprints. I am not fond of distressing. It can be a struggle if you are somebody who does like them to look exactly how you want them to look. And that's fine too. You can make them that way as well. The ink blending technique of like creating that little shine will still work for that. You obviously would just get the spatters and stuff. I think you can use this. This is the Distress spray stain. This is the picket fence one. It's just not going to be as solid. It's not going to be as opaque. Okay, so this one already has the water added to it. It will splatter all on its own. And this one you will have to add just a little bit of water to get it to splatter. And this one, I think you, oh, drop the lid. Stand by. Where did you go? Onto my slipper. Okay. And this one is, again, it's about the thickness of paint. So because gouache is like a more opaque watercolor, you would add water to that as well. So any of those will work to get this kind of look. I have a white spray I can use for splatter. Bought it years ago when scrapbooking. Oh, good. Okay. So this one I am going to just put down here. And even this one, like I do make sure that I pick it up with a wet paintbrush. I don't just, you could just use the tubing, but I don't want the splatters to be that big. Okay, so now I'm just going to go in with a wet paintbrush, mix that around, and then I will do some bright white kind of splatters. If you want them to be smaller splatters, when you pick up your paint, tap it off over here, and then when you come back here, they'll be smaller, finer. If you want big ones, then go directly to your tag from your paint pile. And you can put on as much or as little as you would like. Just something to add a little bit more interest. Small brush, not a fan brush. I do have a fan brush, and I have tried that in the past, but I do find that it is more difficult to control the spatter with the fan brush. That's just my experience. So now these backgrounds are done. We're going to set them aside so that they can dry, and then we're going to work on our stamping and our coloring. Okay. How you doing back there, sister?
Good.
Do you need the fan?
Not yet. I've only taken one layer off.
All right. Okay. So now how are you guys feeling about the coloring? Are we excited? I did look at maybe doing dies instead of stamps. Sorry for making you sit in with us, Michelle.
I'd sit in any day.
See, she even tries to like pop in on Wednesdays to watch the lives just to listen to me yap. She's so supportive. I appreciate you. So for I did look at the dies, but I thought like it's been a while since we really like sat down and did some like more in-depth coloring of images. And I mean, I like dies, but stamps still have my heart. Okay. I have two good sisters, Denise. The other one is, honestly, she's probably at home since she was a dad yesterday. Okay. So now.
Yeah, she's smart because I'm getting snowed in.
I told you I have ham and cheesy potatoes. Don't act like you don't want to stay here.
I do love it here.
You can just spend all your time with your niece and your nephew.
Oh, see, you can't tease me like that.
Yeah. In fact, you could even take them home with you.
Girl, now you be talking crazy.
Oh, thank you so much, JB. I appreciate that. I'm hoping I picked something suitable and not any of your supplies. No Santa. That's okay. Maybe you have something else that you want to color. So I am going to be cutting these out with their coordinating dies. So I'm just going to stamp them all however they'll fit on one piece or 1/2 sheet of cardstock. Oh, I'm taking the whole thing out. No. Just the top part. Thank you so much. Okay. Our little angel. I love this angel. Like when this angel came out, I was so excited. And then I like just didn't get the opportunity to use her as much as I would like. So we're going to be doing different techniques with each one of the stamps. So for the Santa, we're going to look at coloring the folds in clothing. For the angel, we're going to be looking at coloring like the glittery things. Maybe he goes this way. And then for the bear, we are going to color ourselves a little glow up. Maybe like that. Is that how I did it last time? Okay. And then Santa down here. Looks good to me. Okay. I have a ton of old stamps, mostly words and cutesy stuff from back in the day. I have a lot of old stamps as well. Actually, this is a perfect segue. Denise, thank you. Perfect segue. So in addition to the super secret squirrel stuff that you are being told about from Honeybee, I also would like to share a special announcement a little early um, for just you guys. We are going to be doing, we want to make, hold on the news. We want to use alcohol marker friendly ink. So I'm using the Be Creative Intense Black ink to stamp these down. I typically do stamp them twice because I like a bold black outline. Okay. So anyway, back to my information. So I did last year, I did some mystery boxes because very much like Denise was just talking about, I have a lot of older stamp sets. I have some newer ones too that honestly, like they just didn't get used. And I have some stamps, dies, things, ink pads. Like I just have a lot of things from companies that have closed or product that's been retired or new product, like I said, that I just didn't get to use. So I am going to be putting up this week my mystery boxes again. Last year they sold out pretty quickly, and last year we did the what did we do? We did 150 and shipping was included. This year, because shipping rates have gone up, I am going to have to do them at 175 to cover the increase. See, look at, I didn't put any pressure down there, and that is why you have that blank middle. Oh, party foul. So they did sell out pretty quickly because it is a medium flat rate box and it is stuffed to the top full of things. So they're 175 each, but you're getting probably like, I don't know, like $300 to $400 worth of product. So if you are interested in those, they will be on my website this week. So those will be up. And I think we talked about doing what, like 15 of them this time. I think last time we only did 10, and then they went pretty quickly. So I think this time we were looking at doing like 15 of them. So, well, Denise, don't worry about it. Oh, look at my paper moved. Do you see it? Do you see how it double stamped? Here, I'm going to show you. It is still possible even with stamp positioners. So it moved just the slightest bit, but it's enough. So unfortunately, we will have to do that again. So anyway, those will be up. And then the other announcement, which I am excited about, I'm excited to share with you guys. And again, this is that you're getting like pre information because again, it'll probably be going up. I imagine I might try for tomorrow, possibly Tuesday. Dawn, are you going to limit one per person? Last time I did not limit them to one per person. I let them buy as many as they wanted. And I had one lady who bought, what was that lady? She was from like New Mexico. I think she bought like 7 of the 10 boxes. Like she bought a lot of the boxes. Last time I did not limit them. They just kind of went as they went, and that will be through the website, which is kellytaylorcards.com. So then the other announcement that will also be for sale on my website is I am doing finally, after whatever, 3 years in the making of saying that I was going to do it and then pushing my stuff to the back because I was doing other stuff. I am going to be releasing a color theory class. And that will be over on the website for purchase. I'm not sure. And you know what? Since we're having the conversation, we might as well. I'd love your input. I did a survey at one point, and that's how I ended up kind of like breaking it up into 2 groups. So it's called Color Theory for Card Makers, and it will be available on the website, and it's going to be broken up into 2 groups. So since we are together all of the time and we chit chat, I would love your input. Originally, I was doing it all as one class, but it's a lot of information for one class. And I think it could be really overwhelming. Hi, Sharon. This beard part, I'm not inking very well. Maybe I'm talking too much. Maybe I'm talking too much, not paying attention to what I'm doing. So originally it was going to be like a 2-week long class that was like really in depth into color theory. And I found that after doing the survey, it seemed to be that was maybe a little bit too much. So I decided to break it into 2 classes. So color theory for card makers part 1, color theory for card makers part 2. And I'm thinking maybe we'll do the class. The class is going to be for January because I want everybody to be able to get through the holidays. And everybody, I also mean myself, because we have to survive, y'all. We have to survive our lives. And so we are going to be doing it in January. The class will include edited videos. So you'll have an edited video for every lesson, sometimes more than 1 video per day. And the class will run for 5 days. And then at the end of that week, we will do a live together where we can discuss the things that we learned in the week. You can ask any specific questions that you have. There'll obviously be a forum and a place for you to share. So that is how I intend to do it. The part that I have the question about is I was thinking of, even though I don't have a set date for number 2 yet, it would obviously be shortly thereafter 1. And I will come back to the supplies in just a second. So, but I think I would like to offer, because I know that it is a lot, I think I would like to offer them at like a discount. Like if you buy 1 and 2, you can get it like bundled at a discount rate versus, the buying them individually. So that way, you already have it and it's in there and everybody has access to the things. There's some handouts and some downloads and things like that. What are your thoughts on that? Or would you rather I just wait until 2 is good and like the actual day is scheduled and then release it? Tell me what you think. For the supplies, my class is actually sponsored by Honeybee. Which is the only reason why I feel comfortable sharing this in this setting, since we're on the Honeybee channel. So the products that I'm going to be using are Honeybee, and like I would absolutely encourage you guys to, use whatever it is that you have. But if you want, and I know some people do, if you want to do your get your product so that everything is like matchy, they will also offer the same kind of thing that they did today, like with the page where all of it is together. And where's my, and I think, I can't guarantee it yet, but I think they're gonna give me a discount code for the products too, because they're so fantastic. Oh, it is over here. It's over here. So for me, it would greatly depend on the cost. Okay. And bundle. Okay. So that's what I was thinking, because I would like you guys to be able to get it, to get all of the things. And then, like I said, each one will include a live for us as well. So that way we can touch base and talk about the, not over there. Here it is. Because I want you to be able to ask questions in real time. I think that's really important to being able to learn something. I'm very limited on what I can spend any 1 month. So they'll still be, Julie, it'll still be available like part 1 and part 2, because even after the live is over, like they'll still be up to be purchased. So like if it doesn't work out for you, they'll still be there for a later date. But I like I know there's kind of like this crazy time right now with all of the with all the holidays and everything. So I think after the first of the year is probably going to be the best way to go, closer to the end of January. But I wanted to put it out before Christmas just in case you were like, this is something I'd like to ask for Christmas as like a present. Like I'd like to take this class. Then you can, put it out there that way as well. And I will have more information and a more kind of in-depth announcement on my own channel about that. But I did want to give you guys the heads up for that. I'm trying to make sure I got all my colors. Skin colors. That's what I'm missing. Okay. And I do appreciate your feedback. You guys are very, very helpful to me because I need the feedbacks. All right. So that's that. This is all of those. And we did nothing but cool whites. Okay. So now we are going to start with our lightest color. So we're going to start with our, yes, and the 30% discount at the end of the month for supplies, Brandon. Yes. So I will, when I announce it, I will try my best to get the supply list up very quickly so that you guys do have that before the sale. Okay. Has anyone purchased the Gina K Intercut die cut machine? I have not. All right. I'm going to zoom us in. Okay. And like I said, we're going to start with our whites. So I've chose cool grays for my whites. I don't need this. I need this. And the reason that I'm doing that first is because I don't want to go in there with reds or blacks and then, be trying to color in my objects white and pick any of that up. Okay. So just like when we normally do, I'll try to leave the cap up here. I'll do my best. All right. So now we're looking at Santa and the things that we need to color in white. So right away, I know his little hat is going to be white. We add shadows when one object lays on top of the other. So we're going to add a shadow here. Then we add shadows to create texture also. So here, there's these little texture lines. I'm just going to extend that out. His little hair comes up over the cap there. So that hair is laying on top of the hat. I'm going to add shadows there. And then these little lines that are already here by the illustrator, I'm just going to pick one side or the other, and I'm going to add a little bit of shadow to those as well. For his hair, which is also white, I'm going to add shadows to the bottom because I want to make sure that we keep this area light so that there is a separation between his hair and where the fluffy part of the hat starts. Okay. I have a problem with spellbinders if the embossing folder is on the thicker side. Oh, for the intercut. Yeah, I don't have it, but I know it's supposed to be amazing to be able to like change the widths and stuff. So here, his face is sticking out past these hairs behind here. So I'm adding a shadow there. I'm also going to add just a little bit, like just a teeny tiny bit to the bottom of his eyebrows. On this one, I'm keeping it just to the left-hand side so that that right stays nice and light. I bought the Scout from HB last year during one of their sales. It's really nice. Denise, it's funny you say that. I just bought one in the last Black Friday sale. I did just buy a little Scout. Okay, so now under the mustache, under his lip, under the other side of the mustache, under his nose. Here, his hat is sitting on top of his beard. So we're going to add shading around that as well.
Zoom in.
Zoom in. Okay. I will try to do that. It gets hard when I turn it because I can't, when it's such a small area, it's hard to keep it in line. So I'll do my best, Lisa. Okay. Lori, a scout it's just a small version of a platinum, Spellbinders Platinum 6. Okay, so now we have all of those laid out. There's a lot of texture in his beard. We don't have to get all of the lines, like we don't have to be too crazy, but we're going to look for some of the larger lines that are going to give us shape. So like this one right here, I'm just going to extend that out. Same thing over here. I'm going to extend that. This line comes up. I'm going to extend that out into the beard. Here, the line is here. And then this one underneath it, and then extend it out. Same thing over here and here and here. Okay, now for in the center, you don't have to do every single one of them. Just pick a couple, especially in the middle, so that we can give this little Santa some texture. Okay, and then up here in the mustache, I'm just going to add one or two. We still have more things to color white, but we're gonna knock out this area first. Okay, so now we're onto the C3, not the chisel tip. We're onto the C3, and we're gonna go over what we've just done and extend it out. Because remember, when we're coloring with white, we're only adding the shadows. So we want everything to stay white. We just want it to have a little bit more texture. So now see how there's all this open area here. So you can leave that, or you can create your own kind of little C shape in there to help give it some more shape. Same thing down here with his hair. We're going to go over what we have in the eyebrow. Now over here, this is going to be a little bit dark because it's behind. So we're going over what we have, but we're still leaving a white edge there. Is anyone else's screen a little blurry, or is it just me? Does it look blurry, Michelle?
It doesn't really look blurry. Maybe a little more sharp on my end. It could be.
Okay. Let me.
But your hand is clear, so that's why I didn't.
Let me see. It might be because. All right. That looks better on my screen. Does that look better on yours?
Not so much. There, that looks good.
Yeah, so here's the problem. It's because we're zoomed in so close, because as soon as I put my hand back in this frame, it's not going to concentrate on this anymore. So I'm going to back up just a little bit, just so it stays clear and doesn't get blurry. Okay, so now we're going back over those, and again, we're extending them out. Just a little, not crazy. There should still be a lot of white left in your areas. Okay. And so this is where, especially if you were coloring, if Santa had a brown beard, okay, you wouldn't have to be so conservative with how much color you're putting down. But because it's a white beard, we do have to be pretty conservative because we want it to still look white. Okay. So now onto the C1. And we're going to do just the same thing over that C5 and now and the C3. And just extend it out. This is going to create that kind of soft line at the edge. Make sure we're leaving that white there so his hair is differentiated. Now, was C5 a warmer gray than the C3? No. A C5 is darker, but it's not warmer. Okay. And if you find, because you guys know I always say everything is fixable. So not only do I want to show you how you can achieve it, I also want you to know how you can fix it if it goes awry. And right now everything's going to look really gray because we don't have any other colors to compare it to. So if you're like, oh my goodness, I was super heavy-handed and now it's a whole mess and Santa looks like he's been climbing down some chimneys and he's got coal in his beard. If that happens, you can use, well, you could if I could find it. It's probably in this pile over here. Yep, it is. Okay. You can use your colorless blender to go back in and just move that color around a little bit and reestablish your lighter areas. The trick to the actually moving the pigment around is you have to let it dry in between, because if you just continually go over it, you're just going to cause it to kind of bleed out. You want to go over the area, move on to another area, or let it dry and then come back. White pen time when I overdo it. That will also work too. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the other things that are white. One of the things that is white is this little ball right here. But this little ball has a different texture than the beard. So we want to follow the shape. We want to follow the shape of the ball. So you can see how the lines are done on an angle. So I'm going to follow. This is where the paper turning comes in big time for me. I'm going to follow that shape. All the way around. There's another way you can do that too, but we'll worry about that over here on the sweater. Okay. So then you're just going to go right over that. And again, if you feel like you've gotten too heavy-handed, you can go in with the colorless blender. Or if you feel like they're the same kind of depth, you can go back in with your C5 behind it and add in some more of that darkness, and it'll bring that little puff ball forward. Okay. Now, what else on Santa is? Santa here, his little trim is white. So it hides underneath his beard. It gets a shadow. Underneath the button gets a shadow. Underneath this button gets a shadow. Underneath this button gets a shadow. Now you may notice it's very dark in here, but it would be if he was standing in light and the buttons are close together, like it would be dark in there. And then again, this little trim down here is also white. This is not a lot of real estate, so I'm not even really extending it out. I'm just adding the ink right on top of it, and it will kind of spread out and do its thing on its own, all the way out to the C1. Okay. This Santa was my Christmas card last year. I colored about 60 of them. Whoo, Dawn, that is a lot. That is a lot. All right. So now we have the trim and his gloves that also is going to be white. So here, these little lines that are drawn in, I'm going to add my shadows there. It's going to keep that part of the cuff nice and light. And then here, the same thing, because this part, the top of his arm, would catch more light than this part. I'm going to leave this open area, this open white area, but I'm just going to kind of flick across here. So it adds some shadow to that. Now we're onto the C3. Going over those, extending them out. And then for the C1, I don't want this to be a completely clean border. So I'm going to fill in the bottom part. I'm still going to leave these edges lighter, but I'm going to fill in that bottom part to help kind of create more of that shadow. I don't even know 60 people, and I'm grateful for that, Lisa. That is a lot. So here, I always mess up this part of his hand, truly, because he's holding the bell in his hand, and I always want to color this part white. I don't know why. But here, he's cupping it. So he's holding the bell. See how dark this is in my hand, in between all the lines? So we're definitely going to have quite a bit of darkness in here. Then the other place I'm going to add it is where it's sticking out from the cuff, which is another reason why it's important to keep this light. So that way there is a separation. Then I'm going to do this little dip here, and I'm going to get this. I'm just going to do a line there where it's kind of wrapping around here. And then again, with the C3, I'm going to take that all around the little bell there, blend that out. I'm not taking this all the way down because where this is bent, where this is rounded, this is going to be lighter. And then the C1. Okay. All right. One glove down. I have 6 more cards to finish. I've mailed 58. That is impressive. I used to do 150 when I played hockey. Now I only do 45. 150. I don't even know. No. And this is my job. I make cards for a living. I'm not doing 150. That's crazy. Good for you, though. That's a lot of effort. Okay. So now here, this part kind of cuts off. So I'm just going to take the shadow all the way up from this side. I am going to leave that white edge again. And then here where it comes over on the glove, down along the bottom. And I'm going to do this part of the thumb. This is the C3. Again, we're not extending out too far. Just going over that. And then I'm going to, you can see like that's where it kind of like indents for the little fingers. Okay. And we want to go over that one too. Okay. And then this trim right here, kind of super simple because there's really not much to it. Okay. So then that is the grays on Santa. Now, for our angel, the only part of her that is white is her wings. I do... Okay. So these are... There's a lot of lines here that's drawn for us. So we're going to start with what we know so we don't get overwhelmed. We know that when one object sits in front of another, we add shadows. So she clearly is in front of her wings. Her wings are on her back. So it's a safe bet to just go ahead and add the dark gray all around her. Careful here because this is where it wraps around the front of her dress. Now, we're going to look at the lines. And for the darkest color, We're not going to extend out too much. We're just kind of going to ride right next to the line with a very light hand. Same thing down here. Just pick a side. I went with the right, but whatever side you pick, that's the one that you ride all the way down. Same thing over here. I'm going to extend this out to this one. And then we're going to go right next to that line, right next to that line, right next to that one, and then that one. Here, they're kind of stacked. So I'm not going to carry the darkness all the way up because I still want that to be pretty light, but where it ends, I am going to add it. And then I'll work on these lines right here, and this is clearly behind. Okay. I like making them, but hardly ever send them. Well, Brandon, you and I, 2 peas in a pod, because I don't send them anywhere. Though you guys do have my wonderful sister to thank for one of the things I'm considering in the next rollout of next year is getting rid of some cards in a different kind of way than I've done before. All right, so that's the C3, and I am extending that out just past the C5. But again, we're trying to make sure that we leave some white area. Some of these can be pretty tricky in these areas that have like less real estate, but just don't push. Don't apply any pressure. Just glide your marker right over top. Okay. We should create a card exchange. I love that. I think a card exchange is great. The problem is I cannot be part of a card exchange because whoever I get will be sans card. They will not get a card. I will not send it. You just have to know yourself. You got to know your limits. And I'm not a person who can get cards in the mail or return items that I've purchased. That's my toxic trait. I will never return it.
You know I'm telling the truth.
All right, now we're onto the C1. Okay. I sent out a lot annually, but I get fewer and fewer every year. When I was a child, we used to get mail delivery twice a day for 2 weeks before Christmas because of the volume of cards. See, Sherry, that is lovely. We need Eric and Michelle to step up for you. I do hate to do returns, but I will mail cards. I think I would be more likely to mail cards if I didn't have the worst mailbox. And you're probably thinking to yourself, like, Kelly, how could you have a bad mailbox? Like,
she does.
I do. It's because my mailbox is like, you have to walk down the street with a lockbox with a key to get into the mailbox. And there's no great way because there's no flag to be like outgoing mail. So anything I've tried to mail out of there doesn't work. We just have Eric take them to work now. Okay, so now this is done. We're going to go on to our bear. I chose to color the bear white. The bear could actually be any color that you wanted. You could have a purple bear if you wanted, but I chose to do it white because we have that brown background. I do mail cards and gift cards. That's to friends and families. That Nanette, I'm impressed with you because I can't do it. All right. So the ears get just a little dot down at the bottom where they're connected to the head. Then we want the snout to stick out further than the face. So we add the shadows down here. Now he has a scarf on. So that would cast a shadow onto his body above and below. Now we know the shadow would cast or we know that the scarf would cast a shadow, but what about these lights, right? Well, the lights would still cast a shadow, but they are not wrapped tight. So let's see if I can do all right. So you have 2 markers. Okay. And you can see when I float it above there, the shadow actually hits here for this marker, right? Because it's just floating on top of it. But if you put them together, then the shadow becomes here where they're touching. So up, down, up. You can see the shadow move, right? So we want to keep that in mind because the lights would not be like, I mean, nobody's taking the bear hostage. They're not wrapping him up in Christmas lights, you know. So we want them to float. So if you're scared about shadows, and I get it, start with your lightest color because let me tell you, there's nothing. I mean, the C1, if it comes out like crap and you're like, I don't want to do it, then you just go over it and nobody will know the difference. All right. So here's our line. This is where normally our shadow would be right up against the line. But instead, we're going to take our shadow down at the end of the lights like that. Okay. End of the lights. And now it will look like they're kind of floating above. So once you're happy with how, pick the wrong beer, cheap silicone stamp with a leg issue, probably free with a magazine. Oh yeah, those ones that used to come with the magazines. Those were not necessarily the best quality. I totally understand that. So now once we're convinced of where the shadow is going, again, we want to be very light-handed. And we're just going to go right over the part that we just put down. Okay. Now we're going to go in with our C3. We're going to get these other ears here, the sides. We're creeping that up. And then we're going to go over his whole snout. And I'm going to add some shadows to his snout, but I'm going to leave like this little buffer, like a little reflective light. Like that. I don't have the bear stamp, so I sketched a cat. Oh, cute. I'm good with cats, Susan. All right, so now, remember we decided we were doing a center highlight on this little guy when we did our inking. So I'm just kind of adding a little bit of shadow up from his scarf, and then I'll add it on this side, kind of a little bit down, so it's a little rounded, like that. I'm going to go all the way down here on his sides. And I am also going to go over my darker. I need to re-ink my marker. We're just trying to make it work. Okay. And then C1. And again, remember to go over all of it, not just the C3. Get that C5 too. Blend that up. Go over that, blend that out. We're still going to be adding colors to this, so okay. Oh, I missed this. I can see that it's not soft. I missed this part where the scarf is. Okay. All right. High school mascot is a Smoky Bear, so bears are good too. My high school mascot was a devil. I'm surprised they haven't changed it, honestly. Okay. So now I am going to go in right here and do the colorless blender because I feel like I did get a little heavy-handed with the grays there, and I want it to blend out a little bit more seamlessly. So don't be afraid to go back in and see what you can manage up. Okay, I'm happier with that now. All right. So that is all of the white done. I need a drink. It's still snowing.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so now that that is done, I'm going to move on to the next lightest thing, which is going to be our skin tone. So now, just joining, did you draw these or use a stamp? I love the bear from Spellbinders, but don't enjoy die cutting. Debbie, we stamped these. So this is the Saint Nick stamp, the Artsy Angel, and the bear hugs. So I'm missing one. Okay. You can use whatever skin tone you like. I have a bunch of different ones listed on my website, as well as different videos that I've used. But the reason that I chose this one is because it will also work to color in my bear's ears. And I didn't want you, like, if you guys were, looking to see what you had, I didn't want you to have to find like a bunch of different colors. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So the R20 is only for the pinks in our cheeks. We're going to go in with an EO4. Now, Santa's hat is casting a shadow on his face. Also his hair. Okay. And then Santa is very jolly. He has these big jolly cheeks. So we're going to add some shadows behind his little cheeks and behind his little nose. So you might be asking yourself, why am I flicking that up? I'm just kind of rounding that out to give the illusion of the side of his nose. Then I'm going to add a little bit of shading down to the bottom of his nose and behind his mustache. I am also going to use this as Santa's lip color. Then we do the E11, and we're going to go right over top of that. Underneath our little eyebrows. Right like that. Okay. I think I did use this one to like do the inside of his mouth. All right. Then the E00. So do you guys prefer, I'm just curious, do you prefer coloring people to animals or animals to people? All right. Every other thing besides the highlights is going to get filled in with this E00. So my highlights are going to go on my cheeks and the top of my nose. So everything else gets filled in with that E00. And then our lightest color. I pulled out 51. You could also use 50. They're basically the same color. And then I'm just going to get that on our highlights. Animals. I prefer characters. Animals. I don't mind coloring either. R20 is going to be my rosy cheek color for Santa here. So I'm just going to get that right on top of his little cheeks. Thank you. I just put the bear stamp dies in my card. I'll have to look around and see if there are other stamps that would work well with it. Oh, good. I'm glad. People hair is still a practice for me. Not there yet. So animals. Oh, okay. I prefer animals over people. Just more comfortable with animals. No need to practice people. I don't think there's actually that many people stamps out there, to be honest. So they're not as popular as I think they once were. All right. Now we're on to our little angel. So her chin, cast a shadow onto her neck. Her hair, cast a shadow onto her face. Her hands onto her chest. Now one hand is on top of the other. So this one that's under is going to get a shadow here and a shadow here. This one that's on top just gets the shadow there. King Charles Spaniel. Those are very cute dogs. I think they're cute, period. Well, I think most dogs are cute, period. But I do prefer a King Charles when they're a puppy. They're just, they have like these big floppy carpet ears. It's adorable. All right. So filling in her neck with this mid-tone here and this back arm. And then her chin and the top of her hand will get the lightest color. Okay. And again, I do like a rosy cheek. So I'm just going to do 2 little circles. So for the bear, this is not the same thing, but we do want to have a little color. So I'm going to do my blush color in the ears toward the bottom. And then I'm going to blend that out with the E00. So he has little pinky ears. Okay. Skin tones are hard for me. Debbie, I have some videos on coloring skin tones, like various different races and things. I also have them listed on my website if that would be helpful for you. Okay. Denise, you're so very kind. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now we have those done. Those are our lightest ones. And now we're going to get into the actual like techniques of things. And some of these are going to be repeat things that you've seen before, but we're just going to be a little bit more in depth because today we have the option to do that. Highly, what is it? Is it creationista? Tell me how you want me to say your name. Phonetically, please. Don't make me guess. But thank you for being here. Okay, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the gold parts now. For Santa and the angel, they are accents. For our bear, it's more Isabel. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is going to be more his main color. All right, so doing his buttons, again, we're going to add shadows to the bottom. And then his belt, we're also going to do yellow. So this is where it clips in at. And then I'm going to do shadows on the underside. And then you just kind of have to pick which side you want to be brighter. Since I already have kind of like the light going with the beard coming this way, I'm going to add shadow onto the left-hand side of both of the sides. I know it seems kind of crazy. Just hang tight because it will look.
Debbie is wanting to know if they're part of the new release.
No, these are actually, all of these are older stamp sets. I did that on purpose because in the hopes that you guys would have them. Okay. And then we're going to get this Y08. And you do want to make sure that you're going over the previous colors because that's what helps it to really look, you know, gold. Okay. Oh, Janice, thank you. That's I'm glad that it's helpful for you guys. Okay, now bell. He's holding the bell in his hand. Let's hold something in our hand. Okay, so he's got the bell in his mitt. See how this is so dark in here? So dark in here. So we want to make sure where he's holding it is dark. So we're going to go in with our darkest color and we're going to add the shading right there. Okay. Now it's kind of sticking out of his hand here, so that will probably catch some more light. I've been trying to do white with the grays. It pretty much sucked. It is definitely a practice makes perfect type of thing. So don't be so hard on yourself. All right, this is the inside of the bell. And so again, we want to add the darkness here. I'm going to skip the, what is that called? The clangy thing, the bell clanger. What's that called? And then I'm going to follow the shape. So this is round. I'm going to round my strokes here. And then I am going to add just a little bit of darkness on the left and right hand side. I want to leave this area nice and light. Practice makes progress. Yes, Brandon, see, Brandon listens when I talk. Practice does not make perfect. It makes progress. All right, so this is going to be all filled in there because it's the darkest part.
It's called a clapper.
Called a clapper. Deanna, thank you so much. Oh, and is it Emily? I think it's Emily. Elizabeth? Tell me. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I try to be good about it. All right. So then here, we're going to flick it in towards the center, and we're going to leave this as the highlight. I'm going to get the clapper shadow color right there. Eleanor. Oh, I was nearly there. But thank you. Now I'm going to have to remember that. Eleanor. There was a song. It was like by a punk band called Eleanor. Okay. So you'll notice that even though we've already filled this in, I am going back in with my yellow because remember we want it to look shiny and gold. So we need to get in there with those bright yellow colors. All right. So now here's our bell. I'm bad with names. Sorry, people. Well, Denise, Eleanor's here all the time and I couldn't remember hers. So, all right. So that is the gold on him. I did not, again, I tried to do what I could with what I had. Lisa, I feel the exact same way about myself right now. I've been calling you Emily. Girl, I thought it was Emily too. You heard me say it. So in order to save you from having to do a bunch of different colors, I chose to do her hair this same kind of golden color. So here in the back, we're going to add the darkest color. And then this piece like waves out into the front. And then over here, I'm going to add it just on the back. Okay. Eleanor Rigby with the Beatles. That Susan, that is, but that's not the one. It was by like a punk band in the 2000s. I'm going to have to find it. So the next time that we get together on one of our lives, I can be like, I found it. Here it is. All right. This side, I'm going to start to add just a little bit of that color there. Hockey. I know yours months ago, but I asked you and you said hockey was preferred. Oh, well, I call you Denise because I thought that was preferred, but I can go back to calling you hockey. I'm fine with that. Okay.
Would it be LA?
Would it be what?
LA 10-4 Eleanor?
I can't remember who it was by, but I will look it up on the Googles. Okay. I had a teacher who called me Linda. It took me a while to figure out she was talking to me. Susan! How did she mix that up? I have been very blessed because my name is just, it's common, Kelly. Like I've never had anybody call me by the wrong name. All right. So now for our star, we're going to do the same thing, add the shading to the bottom. And for our scarf, we're going to add it to these little stripedy bits. We're going to add our darkest color into those little stripedy bits. And then we're going to also add it from the sides. Try to avoid the little light bulbs to the best of your ability. If you cannot, it is okay. That's what the colorless blender is for. All right. Was the band chumped? I honestly, I don't know. I would have to hear the song, I think. All right, so now we're going over that, and we're going to go in from the left and right hand side. So we're going to do a little technique to create some texture on this scarf, but first we have to get our basis of shading down, and then we can go in and do the added texture. Remember, with this Y08, go back over those E's and that YR24. Okay. You guys have probably heard me talk about this. My best friend since high school, her name is Daedra. I don't even know where her mother found that name from. But that is her name, and it's spelled Daedra. Daedra. That's her name. And our teacher consistently wrote on the board Deidra, Deadra. I don't know why. I don't understand why she couldn't read it and be like, that says Deidra, not Daedra. I'm not sure. Okay. So in order to add some texture to our little scarf here, we're going to do some stippling. So we've got our basis for shading, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with the way that this looks right now. Like this is a good shading, but we want it to have a little bit more interest. So we're going to do dots. We're going to do dots, and we're not pushing hard. We're not pushing hard. We're just bobbing our little marker around. And we're putting them overlapping. We're doing all that. And we're extending it into the next color. Godhead sang Eleanor in the 2000. That might be it. Is it like a poppy punk kind of band? I'm also going to do the same thing to the star. Okay. Now, when we go in with our mid-tone, we have to go over the previous color and then extend it out into the next color. And the reason that we do that is because, first of all, it's helping us fill in that space, because stippling is traditionally used to add shading, and you would just be using like one monochromatic color. So to get it darker, you would need more dots. Lighter would be less dots. You get what I'm saying. But since we're using multiple colors, the lighter Copic markers will remove ink from the darker colors. So it helps give you more color variation to help them blend in together and work nicely. And then Valerie by Amy Winehouse. No, it's the name of the song is definitely Eleanor. Okay. All the way out. Same thing here. Okay. So now he's nice and fuzzy. We do like it nice, and we do like him to be nice and fuzzy. So while I have the yellow out, there isn't like any rhyme or reason to how I colored them. I just did like a lighter and a darker so that there would be it's a punky kind of vibe. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know that song by Amy Winehouse. This is too far away. So I'm going to go with the E99 and the Y08. And I think I started green, red, yellow, white. Is that what I did? Yeah. Green, red, yeah. So this one would be yellow. And then white. 1, 2, 3. This one would be yellow, green, red, white. Or white, yellow, white, red, green. Okay. And then I'm just going to look at the other one. I'm just going to look at the other one so I know which ones to color. Because that'll be easier than me trying to count it out. Which is what I did the last time. And then 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's just skipping the 3s. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with this color. Okay. That way we don't have to get them back out to do our lights. Okay. Now we're going to move on to, I think we'll do the red. One day I'll be good like you. Well, you are still good now. You're just good like you instead of good like me. It's I say it in my videos a lot. Like your card should look like yours and my card should look like mine because they're all beautiful. They're just different, and different doesn't mean bad. Okay. So when we're looking at coloring clothes, okay, there's a wrinkle here, right? There's a seam. So we're going to add shading right where that seam is. We're going to add shading where it's meeting the other one, but, oh, and where this cuff is meeting. But see here how there's like a little indent? We're going to add another one there. And you can see how it already starts to like add a little more depth. So again, we're adding shading where one's laying on top of the other. Okay. And then his coat here is creased. And so I'm going to add that one on the left-hand side so that the right sticks out. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. For this one right here, there is not a lot of real estate. So I'm just going to make it dark and extend it out. And then this will get some darkness as well where the cuff is. For his hat, it kind of like swoops around on itself, right? So we want to add shading here so that it looks like it comes up and over. Then we'll add some shading here and on the back side to kind of show how it is coming up and over. Also add just a little bit there. These berries are going to be red. Also, I'm going to grab those while I'm here. I want to add some shading there as well. And this should be the light. Okay. Alrighty. So we have that and that. Then this is on the inside because his arm is going to stick out more. So we're going to add the shading underneath his beard. And this is why it's super important to do your lighter colors first, because with all of this dark red right up against it, can you even imagine trying to go in there with a C1? Like we would just be picking up all of that red and just smearing it everywhere. Okay, shadow where his belt lays on top of his clothes. Continuing on over here. I'm not going to take the shadow all the way to the edge because I want there to be a differentiation between the front of his coat and the arm there. Okay. And then underneath the belt would also, and again, he just kind of cuts off at the bottom. So I'll just extend that out to where, that way when we do our die cutting, there's nothing, we don't have no color there. All right, so now we're on to the R29 and we're gonna extend this out. Same thing here. When you're coloring, what you're going to see the most of is your 2 midtones if you're using a 4 color like I am. So your 2 midtones are the 2 colors in between. You have a dark midtone. For me right now, that's an R29, and a light midtone, which is an R35. Okay, get those berries. Now, this part is the part that I want to leave the lightest. So I'm going to connect these two, and I'm going to bring this down and extend it. Now, the picture cuts off, but obviously if his hat was still there, it would continue down that way. And then I'm going to add color coming up. This one, I'm going to fill in the majority of it up. I'm going to leave a line for his shoulder there. And then here, I'm going to extend that line up. And this one down. And then from the side, because this is bent, we would have quite a bit of shading in here. Same thing from down here. But we want to leave that light so that there is a differentiation between the different segments of his arm. Okay. Then this one, because this is pretty far back, we do want to make sure that we go over that darker color to get them to blend. And again, we're going to want to see the majority of that darker mid-tone. So we're going to go over the darkness and then we're going to extend it out. If you have a marker where you feel like maybe it's not blending as well as you would like, you can always take your lighter color, pick up some of your darker color, and then use that to create kind of like a transition tone. If you think that it's not blending as well. I use this color combination all the time. And I like how they blend, but that's just, you may not have the same colors that I do, or you may have some colors that are a little bit, different, a little bit more removed from each other. And that would be a way to kind of just make work what you have. Okay. Now we have our, oh, thank you, Cheryl. Okay. So now I'm going to fill that one in. This one I'm not going to fill in completely. I'm going to leave it a little bit lighter. This, when you start filling in the lighter colors, is really when everything kind of comes together, because before that, the folds that you're coloring kind of look ridiculous. To be truthful, it looks like you don't know what you're doing, but when they come together, all of the colors come together and they're working together, is when you can really see like how they pop and give you that kind of 3D look. Oh, I need to get you. And then, In fact, I'm going to fill that in because there wouldn't be a highlight there. Okay. It always makes me think I'm doing something wrong until you get to the final color. Yeah, pretty much, Brandon. That's pretty accurate. Okay. So now we're going to go back in with our lightest color. And then you can really see how you can see all the different folds. And then Santa comes to life. He is a good Santa. Let me get that part of his belly. Okay. So we've colored him up. He looks all dimensional. The only thing we got to get his belt and then his holly. Our little angel here does not have any red on her. So we're going to jump right over to our bear and just get the lights, which is in front of the yellow. So I'm using the darker one. Again, just a little dot at the bottom, and then filling that in with the R29. Red here. Nope, white here. Red here. Oh man, did I do the wrong ones? Red, red, red. No, I'm fine. There we go. Okay. Oh, Tina, don't worry about it. You're fine. It'll be here in replay. And also, I mean, I have every single one of these images I have colored before, except for the bear. I've never used the bear before, which is shocking because he's adorable. Okay. All right. And then that is that. Now onto the green. I got to get them in order. Okay. Oh, hello, Benita from Sweden. Oh, look, it's up. Well, it's a little, but it's slowed down quite a bit. Hi, Linda. Oh, thank you so much for the compliment. Okay. So we're going to do the leaves. Nothing really to this one. We're just going to add shading closer to the base because they're tucked under. With the darkest color, move out to the lightest, and then the lightest mid-tone is going to be my lightest color on the holly. Okay. Now, we're going to color our little angel with a little green dress, and then we're going to do it to make it sparkly. Okay. So we start with the basics. We have an arm down here. It's bent, that gets a shadow. Inside the sleeve gets a shadow. Behind her arm, behind her hair. And then here, I'm going to add a shadow here, but I'm not going to connect them because I don't want it to look like that part of her arm is just like missing. And then I'm also going to add just a little bit of shading into her elbows. Here you have one that's kind of laying on top of the other one. So I got to get in here too, just in between her hands. All right. So the shadow is going to be here because this piece of her dress is laying on top of the other one. But then these wings are also laying on top of her dress. So we're going to have a shadow over here as well. And then this part is the inside of her dress. So we'll have a shadow down there and then around the back way. This portion is the back part of her dress. The wing is on top of it. So there'll be shadow there and then shadow all the way down for it's behind the other part of the dress. Again, wing in front. So we have the shadows there. Now at this bottom, it's kind of like a little bell shape. So we're going to add the darkest color to the left of this line and the right of this line. And that's going to push this piece up. This piece is kind of like the underneath. So we're going to add some shadows there as well. I'm going to leave that piece a little bit disconnected, and I'll fill it in with my dark midtone. So that way these are still separated. Even though I'm not coloring the same things, it's so much fun joining in at the same time. Oh, well, Eleanor, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay, so now the G19, extending that up. Same thing here. I'm going to go down with her arms down here. And again, remember what we're going to see the most of is the midtones. So I'm going to take this green down. Just one little stripe there, but then I'm kind of going to feather it into this piece here. Same thing for in here. That's going to be pretty dark also out there. And then okay, around to this one. And this one as well. So this part, I'm coloring my Christmas mugs again. Oh, cute. So this one here, I want to add this, but I want to leave the edges light so that it stays looking popped up. So I'm going to add my darker color, but I'm actually going to stick to it, keeping it in the center and keeping the sides of her dress light. Then this is my light midtone. Let me turn this around. Okay. And so now this is going to fill in anything that isn't going to get the highlight color. So I'm going to go over this so that they blend nicely, but then I'm going to leave that white edge, and that's going to be my highlight color. This can just get colored in. That'll get a highlight. This will also get a highlight. But remember, our highlight is just like that little sliver. We don't need a ton. Same thing with like how we do the shadows. We don't put a ton of shadows in. We don't put a ton of highlights in. This is the underneath, so I'm just going to fill that in as well. Okay. Now for the G05. And that is going to be my lightest color. And I'm going to flick that back into the previous colors. Now, she is beautiful. And I love her, but I want her to be sparkly. So we're going to go back. Remember how we did this stippling technique? We're going to do the same thing over here, but then we're going to add some other things to it to take it from textured scarf to sparkly dress. So back to our darkest color. And I'm going to do it so the whole thing is sparkling. So in where it's dark, where I previously put this color, we're going to do the stippling. I'm not going to do the inside of her sleeves, this part, or like this part of her dress, because that's the inside. There wouldn't be sparkles on the inside. Okay. And then I'm going to work this down. more dots where you want it to be darker. Okay. I sent my baby home at the beginning of the week, 29. Oh, yeah. That is quite the baby. Okay. And when you're doing the dots, you want to try very hard to make it random. Don't try create, like, you don't want to be creating a pattern with your dots. It should just be kind of all over the place. Make sure you take it all the way out to the black line. Not with this color, but I mean when you're doing them, you don't want to go all out with this color. You just want to put this color where we want it to be the darkest. Okay, and then again, because I want to keep that shape, that kind of flipped shape, I'm going to add the darker ones, but I'm going to keep them more towards the center. Okay. Now, onto the G19, and we're going to go over those same dots that we already did, and then extend them out. And you do want to pay attention to like where, like this one, I know I took this color all the way down, so I want to make sure that when I'm doing the dots that I'm having the dots all the way down as well. And I can see how like this might be tedious to just be doing the little dots, but the end result is very much worth it, in my opinion. And then the further you move out, obviously the easier it is, because we're still going over the other colors, but we're not having to completely fill them in like we were before. Okay. And then the G5 is the last one, and we put it on everything. We're treating it like Oprah. You get some G5, you get some G5, you get some G5, everybody gets some G5, because that is our base color. Well, it's our highlight, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. Alrighty, so there she is. Now, it looks like velvet. That's cool. We have to continue. There's more to this technique after we get done with our coloring. Okay, now I'm going to do, what did I do? I'm going to do the G29 and the G07 for my light bulbs. And these go next to the red, right? Yes. Yellow. I think this one's green. Yep, it is. Green, 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 green. Okay. And then these we just fill in. Now you might be asking yourself, Kelly, what is that other color? That other color is white, but we are going to add a little something to it to help it look like it's doing more than just being transparent. All right. So
Sherry would like to know if the angel's gonna get a face?
Not from this girl. She's not. She's no. If that face don't stamp on it, haven't you? You may not have ever heard my monster face story. Dawn and I laugh about it all the time. I once did a no line and coloring image, and I didn't like that she didn't have a face, so I tried to put one on her, and I turned her into a monster. It was terrifying. It was not good. It was very bad. So yeah, so no, they will not be getting a face from this girl. All right, I'm going to do the C3 down at the bottom for these. Okay, and then we are, what do you buy 2 boys, 6 and 4 that have everything? Oh, well, that's a fun age. Maybe get them an experience. All right, so now we're going to do our glow here. So I'm gonna take our little colorless blender. For most of these, it won't matter, but for these ones on the scarf, I'm just gonna go around them just a little bit to kind of move that and lighten it just a smidge. Okay. It's hard to see, I know. And then we're going to go around and add our glow to our little light bulbs. If I can find the things that I use to do the glow. All right. So I did, in the description, does it say a B00? I bet it does. Even though that looks a little...
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And is it a Y11? Or is it a Y00?
Is Y11?
Y11. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do with it? Here's the R11. Have I lost it? I might have lost it. All right. Well, we're going to... The Y11, I do believe, is what I used before, but I cannot locate it on my desk at the moment. So I'm just going to get another Y that's very close to it. So these, you want to get a little bit of a lighter color of whatever color you have chosen for your light bulbs. And then I'm going to use blue for the white. So I'm just going to go around the white ones with a little blue. Just like that, so that they look like they have a little glow to them. And then I'm using the R11 for the red. And this is just like a fun little way to add some more interest because he's a white bear. He doesn't have a whole lot going on. Oh, yeah, Deanna, it's my sister. And my sister, Michelle. She's here to help. Okay. And then the last one is the green. I chose to do the YG01. It is a little bit of a brighter green. You could choose a little bit more of a true green. What's the one that I originally tried? I think it was YG11. So you can see how they're all like nice and glowy, and it's super cute. So now I have to do the belt here, and then I think we're ready to move on to the die cutting portion of our evening. Okay. Of our evening. Of our day. No, it's evening. It's almost 5. Okay. So his hand casts a shadow. Oh, did I share this? I can't remember. C5, C7, C9, 100. I love that for you. My siblings are far away. I love it for me as well. Thank you. I like that my siblings are close. Yesterday, we had a game plan to get together to do some Christmas cookies. Unfortunately, this sister was a little bit under the weather. She wasn't sure if she had a cold or if it was just some weather-related congestion. So it was me and my other sister down at Dad's doing some cookie baking, and I am very grateful that both of my siblings live close. Okay. Oh, Eleanor, it's 9:55. Oh, in 11. Well, it is nice of you guys to spend your evening with me. Thank you. So this one I'm just going to fill in because we're going to have that buckle blocking pretty much all of our light. Okay. And then the C7 is going to fill in everything that doesn't get a highlight. And then our highlight color is the C5. There we go. Okay, so now Santa is all colored in as well, and our bear and our angel, and I think we're ready to do our die cutting. Too far. Aren't they so cute? I love them. Okay, so I have them all laying over here. Angel, bear, Saint Nick. Okay. In addition to my angel, my bear, and my Saint Nick, I'm also going to do the die cutting all of the extra tags. Okay, and here's our bear. And our angel. Oh, yeah, Tina, you're doing the first Christmas without your mom too. Yeah, it's a rough go. We're just the name of the game is just survival this year. It's the best we can hope for. All right, so I'm gonna get this up. All right, and we're gonna tape them in place. Gotta get this side too.
Okay. I was looking for similar critters to go with the bear. Off the top of your head?
Are there similar critters that go with the bear? So I don't think that there are similar ones to the bear. They do have critters, and I will be honest with you, I am biased. I know that. I know that. But there's a bunny set that Dawn did for Easter, and then there's like the puppies and the kitties that she did with like the little wagons and the flower pots. That Honeybee has, and I love them. I love Dawn's style of critters in particular because they're more like, I don't know. they're more sophisticated, I guess. I don't know. I just love her animals. So if they do have critters there. If you're interested in more critters, I would check out those ones on the website. All right. So there is, I did do a little bit of heat embossing on one tag, but the rest of them just got, you can tell I'm using my scraps except for this one. All right. So let's get our tags out. Okay, so I need this one. I need this one out of green. And, oh, I lost one. And I need I believe it's this one is the one I used for the yellow. Pardon. Yep, it is. Okay, that one for the green, that one for the yellow, and this one for the red. Then let me see what I can cut out of this white cardstock over here so I don't have to get another piece. Do you guys like I like the little accent tags because I think then it's fun because then you can have like a full design tag. And then you can write your to and from on your little accent so it doesn't interfere with your design. Isn't that funny? Like like the whole purpose of giving the gift is to like for the other person, but you're like, no, I don't want you to interfere with my card design. I don't like it. That's how I view it anyway. All right, and then these ones are all out of white. I don't actually, did I use? I might have used that one. I'm going to double check. This one. Is it this one? Nope. It isn't. It is from the other one. I'm glad I looked. Gotta make sure my sentiment will fit on it. So there is a couple of different like shapes, which I really like. I think I did the bell for the angel. I did this long one for Santa. And then that one came from the other one. We just determined that. They have a bear with a penguin on its head. Oh, is there like a specific one you're looking for? I don't. Most of my, I mean, I do have like some cutesy things from Spellbinders, but most of the time my cutesy things are not. I don't think Spellbinders and cutesy. I don't know. For some reason that just like doesn't pair accurately in my head. Okay, whatever. I don't have time for you. Okay. So now let me see if I can fit this up here. At an angle. That'll do. And, oh, that one has my hair in it. This one down here. And another little, I'm like the queen of let's tape it and tape it again because I don't want it to just be running all around and moving. Okay. Now, I will tell you that it would probably be easier to stamp them and then die cut them. But I don't want to have to undo all of the things that I have done. So we're just gonna go with it. Okay. Let me grab this. I did grab a new plate out recently just for you guys. Everybody was very concerned about my plate. Nope. Like this. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. There we go. Okay. I am thinking of the die set, but I'm not a fan of die cutting. That's what drew me to the bear as a stamp. Yeah, I know, like, and I have come around to dies. I definitely like the little coat tag that we made on Wednesday. Like, that's super cute, and I totally think it's adorable. But I do love a good stamp still. I can't help it. Stamping and inking and coloring, and like, that's how I got into this hobby, and I'm still I'm still here for it. So okay. Oh, hockey's back. Did you get mom's dinner? All right. I'm just going to set these to the side. See, this is how I end up with such a messy done. You're like, I see. I don't like it, but I see it. And then we'll do this one. Amy Young from Sweet November has some really cute critters. Jeanette, Amy Young is like one of my coloring idols. She is amazing. And I think like 2 years ago, she asked me to guest design for Sweet November, and I almost died. I was like, yes, immediate yes. Whatever it is that I have on the calendar, I'll move it along. It's okay. We're okay. We're okay. We just lost our plates. But yes, her stamps are very cute, and her scene cards are amazing. Okay. My favorite die set that I bought this year is the vintage reindeer. So Tina, I love the vintage reindeer as well, and I almost used it in our thing, but I was like, no, I know it's from last year, but I don't know if everybody's going to have it. I thought I would have a better chance with people having like the stamps from like 2 or 3 years ago, so that's how we ended up here. But I do fully intend, before the Christmas season is out, to go back and use that reindeer, because I haven't had a chance to use them, and he's adorable. She's adorable. It's adorable. Yes, Jeanette, that is the one. You have a good memory. I'm very impressed. I did make a magical fairy when Amy asked me to guest design. As long as I didn't fall out of the chair. I did not. Oh yeah, don't forget the end of the year sale. I will definitely, like I said, for the color theory class, I will get that together and get it over to Lisa so that she can get that page up before the sale. Okay. Come with me over here. Okay, thanks. All right, so now we've got all of our little guys die cut out. We've got our little tags and their coordinating friends. So we do need to stamp our sentiments. Where do you find Sweet November products? She has a website, Debbie. Okay. How are you on beverages?
I've got water bottles.
Yeah. You're like, I made it through the tea and I'm on to water bottles. Okay. I'm just going to throw these in here for the moment. Because I need to. I'm starting to phase out a lot of my cheaper stamps and dies with Honeybee stuff. Honeybee, I mean, they do I feel like they do a really good job of trying to take care of their customers, and they have I love their products. I feel like they're just a very generous company. I'm very blessed to be able to work with them. Okay, so now I'm going to put these in here. This one is the only one that has a little bit of embossing on it. So, alrighty. Now, I bought the dies from the last class. I love the tags you made. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, so this is the ho 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 here. And then most of these came out. Like the ho 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 goes with the Saint Nick. That's on the same tag. This one, which you cannot tell me that this is the most adorable thing. I come bearing gifts. Bearing. Bearing. Because he's a bear. It's cute. And then the last one, the Angel one didn't have one that was small enough to fit on her tag. So that is the one that I used what did I do with it? The tag set. The tag you're at. I used this Peace, Love, and Joy one. Okay. They do have really good fonts. I do like their fonts quite a bit. All right, so then Peace, Love, and Joy. See, now I'm going to have 6 tags. I'm going to have to give them to my sisters. Go ahead. Okay. So now my my sister was trying to sneak out of the room. Okay. Hold on. I gotta this line right here, right there. Okay. I just gotta figure out where this line's back up at. So my ho 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 will be where it is supposed to be because I picked it up off the mat on accident. Let me check it again. It's hard to see sometimes. Don't mind my head. Do you see? Oh, that's fantastic. Just this one little blonde hair. I look like a poodle. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hello, Kelly. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about being late. We're still here. We're getting things put together, but we're still here. All right. So I'm going to use my black ink. And stamp these down. I am going to Get them a second time so they're nice and bold and black. Okay, so those ones are done. Now, these ones, again, is where that this one specifically for tags comes in handy because it has the to and the from. Well, Hockey, you also have to remember that this is the second time that I'm making them, so it always goes faster the second time around. Okay. So now, do you have to go outside and have a coughing fit?
I had a peek.
All right. So I'm going to scoot this up just a little. And we want to make sure we have enough room in between to actually write on there, you know, if you're a person who uses your tags. Okay. And then you could heat emboss these in white. I think that would also look very nice. Just for like the sake of time, I chose to stamp them in black. The only one that it's kind of questionable on is this one, which is the Christmas Pine. You can still read it. It's just a little darker. Because I'm teaching, I will actually take the time to clean these off. If I was not teaching, I would not. I would just move them to the next one. It's a risk. I understand. But I am also the epitome of lazy. Okay. That down there. Took the tag with me. It's a die release tool, but also very, very helpful when trying to line up my things back to my grid. Okay. I do like to do mine twice. Gold would be nice on the green. That would be super pretty. Okay. And so this one, we're going to do the to and the from on, but then I did add a little, and this is a trick that you can use because maybe you don't have the same dies. If you have a bigger tag like this, and the reason I chose the bigger tag is because the bear is not as big as the other elements. So we want to make sure that there is a balance there. So by using a bigger top tag, it balances out the size and the bear. See, if it was just a short little one, like this one is, you'd have a whole lot of empty space in between. We don't want that. So you can use the little extras in that set, that tag set, or if you have a border stamp or something like that, you could use that to just add a little bit of extra detail. Or honestly, if you're just like, hey, I think it's pretty and I have the time and I want to add the extra detail, that would also be fine too. You know, whatever you have time for, it makes you happy. I clearly did not even clean my stamp. Here it is, still dirty. A few jingle bells in these tags would be so cute. They would be very, very cute if they had little jingle bells on them. If I had little jingle bells on them, though, I couldn't give them to my sister. She wouldn't take them. She wouldn't accept them. I let the microwave beep the other day because I was in the middle of doing something. And my husband told me, I do not know how you and your sister grew up in the same household. Because my sister does not love the beeping. No noise making. All right. So this one I am going to heat emboss. So I'm treating it with the anti-static tool, just like we did in the beginning. And then I'm going to stamp these little snowflakes down. Adorable. I'm going to do it again. I get too many ideas and confuse myself. Doesn't that happen to all of us? Like I'll just be laying in bed sometimes being like, oh, I could do this, or I could do that, or I could do this. And I grab my microwave door as fast as possible. Then you and Michelle could live together, Eleanor. Okay, I like those little added details. That's super cute. And then once it's dry, I can buff it off on my pants and get rid of all of that. All right, so now we're to assembly. Can you even believe it? All right. You go here, you go here, you go here, 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 here. Okay. Do you fancy damp Britain? What is that, Eleanor? I think she's talking to you, Sissy, but I don't know what that is.
I think there's an. I was hoping there was another Michelle in the group.
No, I think it was you.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. We have a gun club beside us. Always sounds like a war zone. I live in a township. And they also have a range very close to us. And so sometimes it can be quite loud in the summer. Okay. So I'm going to glue my guys down first. You don't want to glue your secondary tags. You want them to be free flowing. If we were to live together with the microwave. Oh, because you're in Britain. Is that what you meant? You could come there. It would be damp, but quiet.
Just my...
Yeah, you like the blackout curtains.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put my Santa down here. I'm going to line them up. I'm going to let them overhang the bottom just a little bit so that I can trim that part that doesn't have the line off. Okay. I'm going to glue them down, and then we're going to take our nice Spellbinders shears. And trim off our extra. These are good scissors. I'm always so impressed with them when I use them. Eric will probably try to steal them for wrapping paper, but I can't let him have them. Okay. So there's that. Then my angel, I did kind of down into the bottom right. And I let just a little bit of it hang off because I didn't want to trim too much of it. That's a lot of wing. I'm not willing to give up that much wing. There we go. Okay. The Spellbinders shears are cheaper on the Honeybee site. Get them during the sale. That is true. That is the benefit of having a site-wide sale, is the other things that they carry also sale. Okay. And then the bear is pretty easy. He just goes at the bottom. He's our middle. He's our Switzerland. He's our middle of the road guy. Okay.
Jennifer wants to know if the glue will dry matte or clear.
I believe Honeybee's glue dries matte. All right. So now those are all done. Now, nobody is shocked by this. I do not like white outlines. I will not allow them to exist. So I'm going to go in here, and these are the two that I picked out. This is an E44 and a E55. And these are the closest ones to the ink blending that I had the first time around. So I figured they'd be pretty close the second. So on the areas that it's pretty solid here, I'm just going to fill that in. So it blends in. Same thing over here. Like this is a pretty large area. I'm just going to fill it in brown. I don't think anybody will be any the wiser about it. Up here, there's quite a bit of white. So I'm not going to fill it in completely. I'm just going to do, I know this seems crazy. I'm just going to do little, like, I'm just going to like tap it around in there so that it blends in. There's not really any too much darkness over here. So I'm going to switch over to the E55. And again, I'm just going to blend it in. There's not a lot of white. I'm not overly worried about that until I get over here. And then I will just kind of tap it around so they look like they make friends. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other ones. My favorite small scissors are Cutter Bee. I like Spellbinder's detail scissors. Okay. And then over here. And then a little bit down here. For these ones, like the music notes, I just did like little stripes where there were the music notes. Okay. To, again, just help that blend. And sometimes, like, I didn't have a perfect match for it because it was like an in between the two colors. So when that happens, I just went over both of them. We don't have to be perfect. We just need them to blend in a little bit more than what they currently do. Okay. And then this one, I'm not going to, like, I am going to be aware of my glow because I still want my lights to be glowy. So make sure you don't color over that when you are trying to blend them in a little bit. Okay. And especially like around the snowflakes, because there's pretty large areas that are still white. So do you think he's invited a marching band to his bedroom? Children. Okay. Well, Jeanette, I'm glad that it helped. It would kill me doing these beautiful tags and watching someone stuff them into wrapping paper trash bags. I do get that. But for me, like as I said previously, I make them for myself, like very selfishly. I make them for myself. So honestly, once they leave my hands, I really don't care what you do with them because I got all the enjoyment that I was going to get out of it making it. Okay, I am using the metallic vintage hemp cord. I'm using the one with the gold, but they also have like a bronze, a copper, and a silver in here. They're very pretty. But I am using the gold because that matches what we got going on. So when we are putting them together, we want to line these up. Nope. You gotta make them make friends. Put your ends together so you have a loop. Then make them make friends. This one has the metallic in it, so like I said, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging, but usually once you get it to go through, you can get both of them on the other side. They came apart. Okay. When that happens, I like to twist them together. So that I can get the majority of it through. And then, of course, it did give me this much trouble when I was making them before. I'm just going to do them all at the same time because once I get this thing in here, I would like to just be done with it. All right. There we go. So now you have all three of them and you have your loop. You take your two over here and you put them through your loop and then pull them gently. It's still paper. And then you have your tag, but then you also have a way you would tie this to your little bag or your gift or whatever. Can you put the folded end through instead? Debbie, I don't know. I've never tried it. Let's give it a try. That does seem like if it would work, it would be easier. And I am all about easier. All right. So let's see if we can put the folded end in first. Oop. Yes, you can. And that was easier. Thank you, Debbie. See, it's not just a class for me or for you guys. It's a class for me too. All right. And then we got those. It does mean that the little tie thing is on the front instead of on the back, but I don't think that matters. I don't think anybody's going to be, if they're looking at this tag and they're putting that in there, then I can't help that. That's on them. That's not on me. Okay. And then, so I'm doing the like this part now before I put on the finishing touches, because once I put on the finishing touches, they're going to be wet and I won't be able to do this. I would have to wait for this part. JB, you can put the loop end through the back instead. I probably could, but since I have three together, and they're all different sizes, I don't think I would be very good at that. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think it matters. Okay. All right. So we got our little tags here. They're very adorable. I like them a lot. I'm going to scoot them over so that we can go in and we can do our final touches. You know this means that we will be using the white gel pen. Exactly. Snatch the tag back if they focus on the twine. If somebody makes a comment about this twine, I just snatch it right out of your hand. You can't have it. It's not for you. Okay. So white gel pen. I'm going to add a little highlight on top of my berries, on top of the buttons. And I do prefer a 10. And then I'm going to do the buckle as well to help it look a little bit more 3D. Okay. Now, if we still had the bell, I would put the highlight on the bell as well. Okay. Now, the white gel pen is part of how we make our dress sparkly. Okay. So we're going to go in. If you need to get it started on your finger, you can. So you have your little dot there. And we're going to go in and we're going to make our little dots all over our dress, only where we want the glitters to be. That's important. Only where we want the glitters to be. And we're going to do that like we just did with the stippling. And we're going to try to be random. We're not going to try to create a pattern. And then she will start to look like her dress is glittering. But that's why it's important that we don't create a pattern. Because we're not making it a polka dot. Your glitters would catch the light however they did. It is challenging sometimes when you're moving quickly not to do like stripes of things. You want the circles. The glitters, it was cute watching the little hand stuff her friend Shaker. Oh yeah, Caitlin does call them the glitters. That probably is where I got that. So then her little dress looks like it's all spangly and sparkly. Then you can also add some highlights like to her wings, the part that you would want to be lifted. If you felt like you got a little heavy-handed with the grays, you could go back in. We talked about that earlier with the white gel pen. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to do the glitter on the star as well. And then we're going to do one little highlight dot on each one of these little lights. Okay. Putting shimmer pen all over that dress for extra sparkle. Yes. So, these make me feel like Downtown Abbey for some reason. I honestly have never watched that show. So I am going to still, because I am who I am. I can't change myself. I am still going to add shimmer to these. This is like the clear shimmer pen. So Santa's going to get the clear shimmer. on his little outfit here. Be careful with your background because those distress inks are, you can use them with water. So if you bump them, you can pick up some of that color and you don't want to smear that all over your coloring. You can go over the areas that have a white gel pen. Don't scrub and make sure it's dry first. But I'm not going to do that for her dress because I have a different plan. I would be putting white dots on the Santa hat. So that is one of the things that we can do. I didn't do it on the original, but I can. So if you go in and you do the dots on Santa's little puffball, but here's the trick to it. You have to go over the black line. You have to go over it, and then it'll look floofy. It'll make his little thing look floofy. So that's another way to like add that texture in. We could also do the same thing with the bear's scarf to make it look more floofy. Is that a word? So I told you I was making cookies with my other sister, but on my mom's nut roll recipe was this sister, Michelle's, handwritten notes. And it was talking about the nut mixture and it said should look oatmeal-y. And I was like, what kind of description is that? Like, that is oatmeal-y even a word? And then when I made the mixture and I looked at it, I was like, yeah, oatmeal-y. That totally makes sense. That tracks. Okay, so you can use this to make the hat and the little foofball floofy. You can, in addition, use white puff embossing powder. That would also work. And I did use that. I did use that on the tag on Wednesday for this part and the little things. But again, I have to continue with my shimmers. And so I'm going to do a bit of glossy accents on her dress. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit and then I'm going to do the same kind of dots because I don't want it to be all over. I just want it to be random dress sparkles, like it's encrusted in gems. That's got to be peanut.
Pushing snow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then now she looks sparkly, but then she actually is sparkly. Isn't she pretty? And then the same thing over here for the tree. For the star. I'm going to add the glitters there. Did I add flat? I don't think I did. Did I add flat glitter to his? There we go. And then that was stickles. This is glossy accents. Did I say glossy accents? Did I say that? I don't even know. I used stickles. Now I'm using glossy accents. I apologize if I misspoke. Okay. Now the glossy accents will go on Santa's buttons and his buckle to make them shiny. Not to mention they'll also stand up. Well, let's do our berries too. Why not? There's no reason not to. Okay. I'm not going to do anything on hers, but I am going to do the lights over here in glossy accents. So Santa's got gloss, our angel's got glitter, and our bear has a little bit of both. Okay. I think these guys are super cute.
The color of your stickle, is it the Pincher Stardust?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I have other ones, but Stardust is my favorite. Okay. Sorry, Deanna, I didn't mean to confuse you. I do use Stardust colored stickles because they kind of adapt to whatever color is behind them. And so I find that to be the most cost effective. All right. So now I burped it. I've cleaned out the tube. Okay. Is your sister a crafter too? I wish. Maybe we can convert her.
Negative. There's no creativity in these bones at all.
Okay. So these are our tags. My sister, yes, Wendy, my sister is hanging out with me. She's helping me. So here's our little bear, and he is glittery and glossy and very, very cute. I'm going to scoot that over. And he says, I come bearing gifts. And then our angel, she is very glittery and with her little peace, love, and joy. And then our ho, ho, ho Santa. So I'm going to stagger them because I know as soon as I bring myself back onto the camera, they'll be smushed to the middle. Okay, so let's why can't I find, where is this mouse? There we go. Add a stage. No, why don't you like it? Add to stage. There we are. Okay, so here's our tags. Oh, yeah, I can't. Can I make this work? Because you can't see the bear. Oh, they're wet, so I don't want to touch them too much to each other. That's good enough. Close enough for government work. Oh, hi, Kathy. So I thank you guys so much. I know it was a long one, but I hope that it helped you with a lot of like your coloring and things like that. So just to recap what we talked about, since you did pop in and join us, you got the heads up on the 30% off honeybee sale that will happen on December 31st. So get your carts ready, and that way you'll be prepared and have all of the things that you need in there. The other thing is I will, like I said, I was giving you guys the first heads up on the mystery boxes that will be up on the website this week. And then also on the release of my very first class, the color theory for card makers. And I will, after talking to you guys, I'll do the bundle. So there'll be class 1, class 2, and then a bundle if you buy both of them together. And I will get that class is sponsored by Honeybee. So I will get them the list of the products so that they can share that hopefully before the sale, so you can save the dollars on them. I hope that this was super fun for you guys. It was super fun for me. I appreciate you being here. And I think that's it. I think so. Here, wait, I'm going to go. Well, no, this way. Wave bye, Shell. Can you see her back there? She's like, don't put me on the camera. So thank you guys for spending part of your weekend with me. I appreciate that. All right. I will see you tomorrow on the Honeybee channel for our premiere tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. Have a nice rest of your night. Bye.